to me is like a sport. It's a sport where I win, I know I'm going to win, and I keep on winning.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million? Today we have Sheldon Wolf, and he is a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, and founder and CEO of Intellitary, the AI-powered own brokerage, redefining how residential real estate transactions are originated and distributed. And he has over 30 years of experience also in real estate as well as technology. So tell us, what are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Oh, let's start at the beginning. Number one, do what you love. Do not get into any business that you absolutely are going to dread, absolutely fall out of love with. You got to do what you love. If you do what you love, it's not really working every day. It's going and just performing, doing what you do best. Number two, I'd say one of the things you'll learn about me is I treat everything like business. To me isn't business. Business to me is like a sport. It's a sport where I win, I know I'm going to win, and I keep on winning, and you become unstoppable. So that's kind of how I treat my business. And quite frankly, that's my whole mentality, and that's why I'm successful. The third thing is exactly that. Don't only treat it like a sport. Get into the ring as if you've already won, and get through each and every fight, because business has fights. Businesses has ups, it has downs and challenges, trials, tribulations, and only a warrior gets through all of it. And automatically think of how you're going to get through everything. The next thing, step 4, is do not stop. Quitting is your enemy. I see so many people who fail, and they fail because they quit on themselves. And there are going to be bad days. There's going to be great, amazing days where you're floating on air and you think you reinvented sliced bread, but quitting is not an option. End of story. Then the next thing is 5, which is probably the most important. Time is your enemy. Things change over time. Systems change over time. Technology changes over time. Do not be afraid to change. Embrace change. Change is your friend, not your enemy. If you need to change things, don't be the fool that latches on to something that doesn't work anymore, because if you do the same thing you did 20 years ago, you're not really going to be in business very long. So adapt and change, and don't be afraid to change. And those are my top 5.
Out of the 500 millionaires that we interview in this podcast, 1 out of 5 are property entrepreneurs and 1 out of 5 are tech entrepreneurs. So can you tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly of property and tech business? Because people are listening to the podcast and they see our guests and they might say, oh, you see, he's doing property or he's doing tech. Should be easy become a multimillionaire in this environment, because we have a large volume of guests in that using that vehicle to bid wealth versus the other categories. We have in the other one, we have investors, we have people that own products and software as a service companies and so on. So tell us what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of the property business and also the tech businesses.
Well, the good is this. I look at it this way. The hardest million to make is your first. After you make your first million, you can do it sleeping. The next one's just like repeat and rinse, repeat, and go on from there. But you'll find that if you build your recipe and you follow your recipe, there's no downside. Downside is not doing something at all. So let's talk about any piece of real estate. And let's go back in time 20 years. Let's just say I was a complete idiot and I overpaid for something by an extra $20,000, $30,000 20 years ago. Well, today I'm still the winner. Each property you're buying is like a lottery ticket. You just have to people say, well, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Well, it's always a buyer's market, always a seller's market, as long as you're doing the right things and making the right decisions and analyzing things properly. So my thing is this: I wear two hats. One of my hats is an investor hat. The second hat is a founder hat. I build my companies around being an investor, not a founder. The idea is easy. You just have to make it bulletproof and know that there are walls in business that hit. Like, for example, there was the dot-com bubble. Well, there's going to be an AI bubble as well, and that's coming up. I build companies that steamroll right through that wall or simply just jump right over the wall. I built companies that I don't really care if there's going to be a recession, because there will be another recession. I've already ran my business through them. In fact, if you look at my history, you'll find that I actually do better during recessions. When things are down and everyone's dropping on their head, that's usually when I steamroll ahead. And the reason is I build my business strategically around that. So take Intellitary, for example. You'll see with Intellitary, I've got a B2B component, which is our recurring income, but I also have a B2C income in there as well, designed specifically so as the market lags and there's people in homeowner positions where they can't sell, we're still going to monetize it, we're still going to help them sell, and we're still going to capitalize off of the entire pathway. And I build companies to encompass everything, because I know time is the enemy, and I know that there's going to be changes that are just inflicted upon you just because that's how life works. And that's all factored in. Like I said, I build my companies as an investor. So
Tell us about your company, about the AI side of the company.
okay. So everybody who's successful has said this, and I'm quoting everybody who is successful. Anybody who's become a multimillionaire, owned companies, built businesses. You build a business and you realize real quickly, especially if you're hiring lots of people, and you say this to yourself: I've done thousands of transactions, and I just say to myself, if only I could clone myself. Everybody has said that. You think, what if I can have 100 Sheldons doing this one magical recipe that I've incorporated into my business? And that's what Intellitary is. It's AI version of myself times 100. I've done thousands of transactions, but imagine if there was hundreds of me all harnessed that are actually smarter than me. Well, that's what Intellitary is. But the problem is I can't single-handedly write 50,000 transactions. I need to repurpose the real estate industry. All these brokerages right now who have all these underperforming agents, well, they become perfect conduits. One, it pumps a whole new level of revenue into the brokerage. It certainly puts a lot more transactions in front of the realtors where they get paid and they put food on their table. But most importantly, I'm building a system where the customer wins. The customer in Intellitary land is a customer-centric ability to assist the customer with AI, because I recognized that the world has changed. Every single person who has a smartphone in their hand, which is 99% of the population in North America, maybe higher, now has AI in their hand. They shop differently. They search for real estate differently. Once upon a time, we relied on the realtor for absolutely everything. Today, they find their own homes on MLS. Today, they find what schools their kids are going to be going to, what the crime rate in this neighborhood is going to be. They hunt down exactly what they want, where they want, and whatnot. I intercept that process. I create a pathway, a consumer pathway. I monetize each and every step, knowing full well that if you're buying a home, 99% of the time, you're probably going to need a mortgage too. Why not monetize that? You're probably going to need home insurance. Why not monetize that? You're probably going to need title services. Why not monetize that? When you finally pull up to the door with a moving van, well, you probably need moving services too. You monetize everything. You do not butcher a cow just so you can have one steak. We cover everything. I'm a monetization champ. I take a business, I say, how do we make the most of it? I mean, this business is built, like I said, from an investor perspective backwards. It's kind of, I give the company an unfair advantage over anyone who jumps in and says, well, this is something that someone else can copy. Oh, go right ahead. It's all right. It's like owning Uber and worrying that, well, taxi cabs are still in business. We don't care. Bottom line, we're always going to have market share. I'm always a champ at getting more market share. And when people copy, I just turn up my heat even more. The thrusters go on and we play harder. Like I said, it's a sport to me. This isn't my first rodeo. Every company I run runs the same principles, and they're all built as a sport. They're all built to win, and that's what I put on the racetrack.
So then, tell us about the process. So the properties will be listed there for people to buy them.
It'll have access to full IDX, so anything that's listed on the MLS in all of the United States. And essentially what we're doing, you have to look and say, I built this just out of the model to build, to test out 50,000 transactions in year one, just so we can make sure it's bug-free. And you have to look and say, well, if we're taking 50,000 transactions off the table and handing it to our partnered brokerages, well, that's 50,000 less transaction the competitor brokerages are simply not going to get. So if you're a brokerage, for example, and you've got 20,000 agents, and then you're doing 40,000 transactions, well, you instantly overnight become a brokerage that's now doing 90,000 transactions. And the revenue that comes from that is magnificent because we actually pay the brokerage more money in most cases than their own agents are paying them. So it becomes a no-brainer. It's like asking, well, what brokerage would actually want an extra 50,000 transactions? All of them. And that's the kind of business I build. I build a no-brainer that really is not even hard to sell because of the fact that you're giving candy to a bunch of children who want candy, really. And that's essentially it. The real estate industry is a $1 trillion industry, tons of market share. And I specifically utilize that market share from the real estate and the mortgage. So as much of a prop tech company as we are, we're also a fintech company. Because like I said, I don't butcher a cow just so you and I can have one steak. I'm gonna make sure absolutely everything is used up and monetized and and repeat and repeat and repeat.
So growing a company, number one, you can have more clients. Number two, you can increase the transaction of that client by offering alternative products and services, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the other way even is to increase to increase the speed of that transactions happens, right? So you can do even more. So how you
Yeah.
covering all these three steps, having more clients, having more the clients buy more than one product for you, which is you cover a little bit, and how you increase the frequency that the clients buy.
Yeah, this is just a market share grab. I mean, this is what I've done for 30 years, over 30 years, is dig into market share. Like I said, as an individual guy in real estate, and I still own a real estate company and I still own a lot of property all over the place, but at no point ever in my career have I ever struggled to get customers. And people at one point waited 3 months to get an appointment with me. So, I mean, to me, we had thousands of customers. We put thousands of transactions together. This is just me mimicking what I've done long before even AI and half the internet programs that you have out there, and the technology they have. I mean, I had a conveyor belt years ago because my idea is if I could sit at my desk stationary and just have clients put in front of me, they already know what they want. We designed the system. They were picking the homes and they were picking this and that. And I was monetizing the financing for years and kept them on my conveyor belt. They'd end up at my desk and we'd write deals. My job all day long was to write transactions. And then I don't want to waste my time on anything else. It got passed on to the next step, who then worried about the mortgage, who then worried. All I've done with Intellitary is I turned it into the same lean machine that I've proven and tested for years and years and years. And it does work. And to go to the next step, you say, well, do you really think it's do you think it's the next unicorn? Absolutely, because really it's already tested. Take a company like Zillow. How many billions of dollars is that thing valuated? They essentially get a customer, goes to their website, fills out a form, some realtor somewhere buys the lead, and that's that. What we do is we captivate the customer. We're not really in the lead business like they are. We're in the transaction business. We take the customer, and all by AI, we're having a conversation almost like you and I are having a conversation right now, except you're talking to a person who's not a real person, but looks exactly, well, way better than me, of course, because she's actually really cute. Having this conversation, a very fluid conversation. She's screening you. She is screening you, and then she moves to qualification stage, and then she actually phones you, disappears off your screen, calls you, and says, "Hey, it's me, Chloe. We were just chatting online on Intellitary. I had a few more questions." She strategically takes you offline from being online so that she can now transfer your call to one of our partners. We're then telling our partner, saying, "Hey, I've got Joe Smith on the phone. Joe wants to sell us home and buy a new home in this price range. He's already been pre-approved for his mortgage, this, that. Can you meet him at this house? He wants to see this house. Or can you meet him at his house? He wants to list his house right away." This is taking the hardest part about real estate that any realtor can tell you, which is finding a new client and then getting the client past the finish line. That's the biggest problem. There's a reason why there's a 90-10 split in the real estate industry, where they say 90% make 10% of the money, 10% make 90% of the money. It's because the 90% struggle to find new customers. Either they don't advertise, or they're not advertising enough, they're not buying leads, or they get the customer, but they don't handle each situation properly. We're handling the situation properly 100% of the time. And best of all, I designed my AI to communicate with as many as 20,000 consumers an hour. So if you can fathom that, talking to 20,000 people, weeding out the ones that have no intention of being high intent. I'm not really looking for, I'm just messing around. Okay, great. I don't want to send that to one of my realtor partners. I want only people who are ready to transact going off to my, I'm going to fill these cars with buyers and sellers and have these appointments booked. And that's essentially what we're doing.
Wow. So any area in particular, right? Zillow, those companies are big. They have huge budget to get market share of these companies. You have to would create more value, right? To give more value to the client. The other day I was listening a documentary, and they were saying to the Walmart founder, "Well, it's your fault that the small retail is not out there anymore." And the guy said, "Well, it's not that it's my fault. The consumer prefer to go there. So if I don't do it, somebody else will do it." So basically, when you offer more value to the consumers, there is room for market share. So how is your competitive advantage compared to Zillow and all these big platforms out there?
Well, to me, everything's just money. I mean, I have investors contact me all the time because we're opening this up for third-party investment for venture capital. I've bootstrapped this myself personally to this point. I've got
Oh, wow.
yeah, I have access to tens of millions of dollars. However, most of my capital is currently tied up in real estate projects, real estate ventures, this company, that company. Like I said, as an investor and a founder, I've got a lot of my investments that perform very well. It would be stupid for me to disrupt that. And at the same time, as a founder, I put the other hat on. It would be stupid of me to not reach out and partner up with other strategic partners. To me, it's a horse, that's already won the race before it's even left the gates. So to me, it's not very hard to find investors. My thing is this: I'm more interested in the right investor with the right contacts and the right connections. I'd rather a smaller check, but someone who's number one, understands prop tech, understands fintech, understands the magnitude of what I built, anybody who, let's say, hypothetically speaking, anybody who's invested in companies like Zillow, they'll look at this and go, okay, this is a no-brainer. So I want people, investors that understand the game and what I've built and what's on the table here and what I've put on the track. So the fact of the matter is there are a few that we're in conversations with. There's a few that are making some proposals, so to speak. But like I said, I'm more stuck. The last thing you want with a wrong investor is a bad backseat driver who doesn't even get the game. I've seen too many companies. I'm the guy that people usually pay to fix messes at companies. People pay me millions of dollars to fix messes. So I don't want to run my company into a wall. I'm the kind of guy who runs the company right through the wall. So I need investors who get my game. And there's a few out there. There's I won't mention names here, but yeah, we're open. Our doors are open for business. If any investors are there that would like to chat.
How much are you raising and to which valuation? Not yet.
We're like I said, we're in growth and scale up mode. To me, people say, well, how much money do you need, Sheldon, for this? And my answer is this: how fast do you want this car to drive? Because everything is money. You say, well, can you do what Zillow's doing? Can you bring them up? Of course I can. It's just money. It's just advertising. It's just once the machine, it's just an infrastructure. What we've built is an orchestration layer. And the more money you put into it, the more customers, the more revenue. It's just a machine. No different than Zillow. Zillow, at the end of the day, if they stopped advertising, well, each day that goes by, less and less and less customers go there. But I've built an orchestration layer, and maybe I should turn it into simplicity for people who don't understand what I built here. Everybody's heard of the hotel chain Best Western. Best Western doesn't necessarily own all these hotels. They're a brand, and their job is to take a traveler, a paying traveler, and make sure that guy's lands at the check-in desk of one of their hotels. Then the hotel does their job of being a hotel, checking them in and whatnot. But their job is to take the customer and put them at the desk. And what that does is it prevents the customer from going to a Hyatt. It prevents them from going to a Hilton. What I'm doing is the same thing. I'm taking an Intellitary customer and I'm putting them in the passenger seat of one of my agents, or I'm putting them at the front door of a home he wants to see and having one of my agents meet him there. I mean, it's funny because I built kind of a system that's like Zillow mixed with Uber, mixed with Match. So it screens the customer, qualifies the customer, then it matches the customer, and it dispatches the customer almost in the same manner that Uber does.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're saying, well, what realtors are going to want to just run around with your customer? All of them who want to get paid. It's a free paycheck for them. And as far as the brokerage, well, in some cases, the brokerage is getting like $275 per transaction with some of these new cloud brokerages. Well, we're giving you anywhere from 1,000 to 10%. So you still get your realtor money, that your deal fees from your realtor, but on top of it, you get our success fees. So it becomes kind of a no-brainer. It becomes a no-brainer for the realtors. It becomes a no-brainer for the brokerages. But moreover, we know that 90-10 split. We know there's a whole lot of realtors not doing enough business. I help brokerages monetize the underperforming realtors they have that would love to have more deals. They know how to put the deals together. They just don't have enough of the customers. I bring the customers to them. Like the Best Western, I'm going to land my customers right in your car. I'm going to land my customers right at your door. So that's essentially what we're doing on a mass scale. And like I said, as far as how to ramp it up and scale it up, just insert money here. It's like a jukebox I built. Just add more money, you get more deals. Very simple. So
how long took you to build the platform? Is what you describe it? It sound a little bit complex. It requires a lot of work and in order to develop that. So how long have you been working on this, and how many people do you have in the team in terms of software developers, the CTO, and so on?
Yeah, so the word that I would use would be robust. Robust would describe how complex and how many layers deep this is, how it categorizes customers, how it scores each customer. It also scores our agents. It is very in-depth, very robust. So here's the thing. I personally, because I've got 3 decades of experience in the industry, and it's not that I'm just in real estate. I've made millions and millions and millions of dollars in real estate and sold thousands and thousands of transactions. I know the game probably better than anyone on this planet. I've been personally involved with each and every programming step. I need Chloe, our AI agent, to be perfect always. Every word, every script, every situation, the knowledge base, on and on. It was absolutely an undertaking I cannot even explain. But here's the difference. And I'm not going to mention names, but there are companies out there and they're built by really good software guys. Guy's a software genius, knows exactly what he's doing, but had zero experience in real estate. So I call it a zombie unicorn. Yes, the idea was great. It ended up valuating over $1 billion and someone made a whole lot of money. But then what happens after the fact? It collapses onto itself because the substance isn't there. And how do you deal with this problem? Oh, well, you never thought about that. Well, how do we get that? Oh, we never thought about that. And wait a second. Why are all your realtors on salaries? What motivation do they have if they're all just being paid? Like, there's just dumb things that if you were actually in the industry, you knew the industry like I do, you just never have done that. But hey, he's a good software guy. So then you look and say, well, what about the board of directors? What about these guys? Well, why do none of the advisors have any real estate experience either? And none of these guys are in mortgages. None of these guys. So anyway, they plummet. Next thing you know, they're under $1, and before you know it, they get warnings, and a whole bunch of investors go, "Hey, yeah, I guess we didn't research this." But the thing about it, I'm not just a good software guy. I know AI backwards, frontwards, left, right, and center. I know AI better than the best, especially when it comes to the conversational AI, especially when it comes to the technology side of it and the implementation and having this talk to that, all that side. But underneath all the layers, I have a system that I've converted into a AI system. And that's the difference. And there's lots of companies I can tell you, once again, I can't mention names. I won't mention names. But there's other situations where it's like, well, you're a real estate company and zero of your executives. This is a company that every year, every 12 months, they take a bath. They lose literally hundreds of millions of dollars. The last time they lost over $1 billion. And then each year that goes by when they lose, they keep firing their C-suite, their executives. And then they bring on another batch. And once again, none of them know anything about real estate. And it's the funniest thing. Like, it's almost entertaining. Like, it's almost satirical in the sense that, how is this even happening? Like, wouldn't you even bring on some advisors, or wouldn't you? It's absolutely mind-boggling. But when I tell you this was designed from an investor perspective backwards, it's got all the right ingredients. It's designed, like I said, to be bulletproof. Time is your enemy. It's like I said, time's your enemy. Technology is going to change. And if you're complacent and you just build something, it's like I tell people, a lot of the AI companies that are out there right now, they're designed to solve today's problem. The problem is today's problem is already solved by 5 p.m. And by tomorrow at 12 noon, it's been replicated, copied 1,000 times, and obsolete. And that's why there's going to be an AI wall that everyone hits, this big giant brick wall, and they're going to go splat. They're over leveraged, overfunded, and they're going to blow up because they solved today's problem, which is actually from 2 weeks ago. But like I said, things become obsolete even faster today. This is designed to facilitate something that isn't going to necessarily be obsolete, because our customer's always going to need a roof over their head. So
then, Sheldon, when it comes to train the AI agents with the knowledge base, because at the end of the day, the whole secret we were discussing with some entrepreneurs, and I was sharing that, right, what it makes the business, anybody can have a multi-agent platform, but what is gonna make the difference is the knowledge base, how you train those agents, what knowledge base do you not only knowledge, but also be able to transfer that to the AI agent, so it performed effectively. So tell us a little bit more about how that process has gone for you. Are you running any tests? Do you have any hallucination? How you navigate the challenges that we all as entrepreneurs have in my own company? We have the multi-agents AI software, and has been a very interesting journey. Yeah, now we managed to came out after I'm very happy on my side because at the even the AI agent doesn't allow my team to make mistakes, which is great. You see, it's reminding me, hey, you forgot this, you forget that. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It had been an operational layer that we had in our business, but that operational level have 10x the productivity of all the employees. Also, don't allow them to make mistakes. However, we have an interesting journey training these AI agents with the knowledge base until they actually perform effectively. So tell us about your journey. What's the biggest challenge that you find out training the agents in different roles? We have now one department for invoices, one department for the video editing. Even this podcast, as soon as we finish, is going to be dropped into the AI team of agents, and the whole production is going to be done. But tell us what is your biggest challenge and how you overcome this challenge.
Somebody said to me the other day, I was talking to someone, said, yeah, I've heard that a lot of companies that switch to AI agents are now switching back to live agents because not producing the result they wanted. And all that went through my mind is whoever put their AI together for them had no idea what they're doing. Number one, I've been using AI for years now. A lot of people talk like it's something new and whatnot. I've been using it for years, and I have several other companies that are completely autonomous with AI, and they handle absolutely everything. Sheldon does almost nothing. These are credit companies, and the onboarding of customers, the communication with customers, even the collections, if a customer misses a payment, are handled by AI agents. This thing just runs itself. Customer literally uploads their credit report, it automatically rips their credit report, disputes things. It does absolutely everything autonomous, right down to collecting their money. So if someone's saying, oh, we're taking a step backwards, well, that goes back to your first question, the top 5 things of being successful. Well, if you're changing back, if you're backstepping to old technology, it just means that you tried something, you failed, you got discouraged, and now you're going back to your little comfort zone. AI is just such a broad topic. The bottom line is, like anything, not all technology is created equal. And then it's also the programmer. If it's like I said, look at Intellitary. You got a guy with over 3 decades of high-end real estate experience, thousands of transactions, thousands of situations and scenarios behind him, doing the programming of his AI. You're going to get a beast. You're going to get an absolute beast. You take a guy who can barely do 3 transactions a year, and you're going to have him program. Well, I'm a realtor. I used to be a realtor. I could program it for you. Yeah, well, and you're going to program it to be the failure that you were when you were in real estate. You need somebody who's got some high-end, high-level experience, who's handled every possible situation, every possible outcome and scenario. That's who you want to be involved programming, except there's one small problem with that. If you go to some of these guys who are making the millions of dollars a year in real estate, they don't have time to screw around with AI. They want a company like mine to just build it for them. And that's essentially what we've got here. But I've got the luxury of having, like I said, me as a founder and me as an investor. So I get the best of both worlds. And that's what gives us the unfair advantage over 99% of these AI companies out there. We are the 1%. I've always been the 1%. None of my companies have been under the 1%. We're always champs. And it's because my top 5 things you asked me right out of the gates, I drink my own wine. I follow my own recipe. And that's why all my people say, well, how is it that all these businesses are successful? I don't cheat myself. And I treat this company, despite the fact most people say, why is this guy even working? Doesn't he sell his assets and just retire? Never. Why would I do that? This is fun. It's a sport for me. It's a sport. And I play to win. So.
That's amazing. Sheldon, and in what stage are you with the platform? Are you ready? Are you live, or you ready to launch soon? Or or it's
We're
operational at the
live.
moment? Or tell us a little
Yeah,
bit
no,
more about the stage.
we're live. We're tested. All our analytics are done. Everything's good. I'm at a point now where before I go hit hard, because we want to work at a brokerage level, a national brokerage level. So we want to, before we cut a deal with any one broker, I want to make sure we're going to get as much national coverage as possible. They have enough agents in each city. I like to do my analytics and find out what their not all realtors are created equal, right? So I want to make sure there's a lot of professional realtors and there's no crazy stuff going on there. There's a few companies that I've kind of commenced chats with, but once again, just like the investors on the other side, we're open for business until I sign my name on some documents. I'm open to talking to investors. I'm open to talking to brokerages. If you know anything about me, I only make right decisions. So yes, I am going to do my due diligence. I am going to pick the right brokerage. And yes, I am going to pick the right investor. And like I said, it's not the size of the check. It's
You're gonna
the
pick only
quality.
one brokerage or more than one?
Well, that's one of the things I'm looking at is what kind of coverages am I getting? Are you in all states? Which states are you missing? And then maybe if hypothetically speaking, they're missing some states, maybe I pick that up through other brokerages or smaller brokerages. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's a few that really make sense for us. It becomes a mutual masterpiece because there's a couple that this program I actually designed Intellitary around one brokerage in particular, and I designed it because they were literally suffering. They actually just got acquisitioned because they couldn't get above $1, and I actually designed this platform around their system because they had a lot of agents, but I noticed that a lot of their agents weren't performing. They had a very for the amount of agents they had a very low average deal per agent count per year. So I actually designed this and said, how can I get it? Or my original context was, how do I make it so they double their business? How do I, it becomes, once again, it's selling food to somebody who's starving. But in this situation, I'm actually paying them. It's not even selling. There's no selling involved. Be our conduit. And here's how much you guys get from us each each transaction. So it's kind of a brainless situation when you think about it. But it was originally designed for them, but now they've been acquisitioned. I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm crazy about the deal that they did. That I just last thing I do is latch on to a company that ends up back in the same position they were, a month ago before they got acquisitioned, and because then we get painted with that same brush, right? I want a company that's got the strength that understands, once again, the game. You think, well, they're in business, they should understand real estate. They do, but there's really two schools of real estate going on right now. It's like the Flintstones meets the Jetsons. You've got these old legacy brokerages, which hate change. They're slow to change. To get anything to change requires so many layers of ridiculous stuff that by the time they finally do change, they're almost out of business, or they're getting acquisition by some of these new cloud brokerages. The new cloud brokerages are great. They're very progressive. They understand my gig. But I'm very selective. I want to make sure their technology is compatible. Not that I couldn't make our technology compatible. I can make our technology compatible with anything. That's my thing. I make things work. But I want to make sure that the level of agents that they have is up to our standards. Because sometimes when you do these low fee kind of things, you tend to get the kind of realtor that's not the warrior, that's not the champ. And I like working with people, and I don't need to have 25,000 agents. I don't need to have 100,000 agents. I just need really good ones that if I pop someone in your car, that you're going to close the deal, because that's how you make money. That's how your brokerage is going to make money, and that's how we make money. So I want to make sure I'm not just handing off our customers to somebody who doesn't know how to handle our customers. So I want to make sure they've got quality.
Yeah, so it's culture match, basically, Sheldon. So you need the agents that have your same culture, right? So this
Yeah,
is how
exactly.
we how the company scale. So the people that are in the team they have the same values and culture that actually the founder, and that's what aligns. So you need so many,
Yeah,
you need high quality so they can close all deals, right?
absolutely. Because it really is. the industry is funny. I talk about the 90-10 split between success and realtors, the 10% realtors, but really the funny thing is you dissect that 10% of successful realtors. When you get to the 1%, that's where you get the Sheldon Wolves, the guys who are making millions of dollars. You see these TV shows now, these top realtors and this show and that show and these reality shows. That's like 1%. So for every one of those guys, you have 99 that are really not doing well. So when you talk about the 2%, okay, well, what's under that? Those are the guys now making hundreds of $1,000s. They're doing quite well. And then it starts to drop down really, really quickly. But when you get to the 90% and below, that's where you're getting that 0 deals a year, 1 deal a year, 3 deals a year. That's where you're getting that. I could sit here and dial wrong numbers on my phone, and by just dialing phone numbers at random and saying, hey, by some chance, are you looking to buy a home? Hey, by some chance, are you looking to sell? I could get more than 3 deals probably a week doing that. I can't figure out how these realtors are only doing 3 deals a year. I don't get it. So the real problem is they're being underutilized. These are people that all know how to, they all got their real estate license. They all know how to do the job. They just need a customer in front of them. But like I said, the last thing you want to do is put a customer in front of a guy who's not going to show up for the appointment or not answer his messages or not reply to his emails. So you want to make sure that we get only the certain percentage that are in that range that get our game. And culture, you use that word culture, that's the best word you can use because it is a culture. The last thing you want to do is deal with people who don't understand our game. Like I said, we play to win. It's a sport to us. We love what we do. We have fun with what we do. And that's the kind of people I want, is the people on board who love what they do. They love real estate. They're not in real estate because their friend is doing really well. So I thought I would get into it. No, these are people who are treating their business like a career, who actually love doing what they do. They love the customer. They love that component. And that's exactly the kind of people we want to do. And that's the kind of brokerage we want. The culture of the brokerage trickles down onto the agents, and that's what we're
100%,
looking for.
100%. The culture of the brokerage translate to the culture of the agents, and if that
Absolutely.
align to the culture, to your culture, we're gonna have a winner there. So, if
Yeah.
someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works?
Well, you're welcome to email me directly at Sheldon, SHELDON, at Intellitary, INTELLITARY.com. You could also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. I'm very, very friendly, very personable. I don't ignore anybody, and 6 months later you finally get me to. No, I'm actually really, really hands-on and very easy to work with. Like I said, so if you understand my game and you're in the brokerage industry, feel free to reach out because we're looking for strategic partners. And like I said, as long as you've got good culture and the good winning mentality, my goal is with AI is to preserve the industry. A lot of people are saying, well, AI is going to take our jobs. No, my job is to use AI to preserve the industry, to keep our customers with our agents, where, we live in a day where the world's kind of moving the other way, where autonomy is, AI autonomy seems to be the direction it's going. We're going the opposite way. And like I said, if you're investors, I'd love to look at a proposal. If you got something interesting to share with us, contact me if you understand prop tech. Talk to me if you understand fintech and understand the magnitude of what I've built here. A lot of healthcare guys, just look at it. A lot of other tech guys, they don't get it. But the people who are into prop tech and fintech, they'll completely get it. And it's really easy to unpack this one. So
Thank you so much, Sheldon. That have been fantastic. Like I said, out of the 500 millionaires we interview in this podcast, 1 out of 5 are property millionaires. The other 1 out of 5 are tech millionaires. So if you are in a property tech business, you have double chance to succeed. Yeah, it's just a statistic based in this in this
absolutely.
podcast. Yeah, so they are the most, in my opinion, the most powerful vehicles out there to be wealth, property, and also tech. And if you combine them and you know what you're doing, you can have something really, really powerful. So we wish you the best. And I want to congratulate you for what you have done and for actually develop something that actually works. Because We did it in our company with our IT director and our team. And again, we talk about legacy as well. We need to train also our employees how to use AI and how to use it for work. So it's been a very interesting journey adding this operational layer to our business, from podcast production to other areas. And it was tough in a way that exactly what you described. You need to know what you're doing. This is no, you need to know how to trade those agents. You need to know how to knowledge base. Everybody's talking about AI. I think I agree with you. I don't think not too many people know what they're doing, because exactly if you if you went to the company and now you're hiring back the people, and something went really wrong. What we did is we keep our employees because we don't want to get rid of anybody. But when we use this effectively, you 10x the productivity. And on top of that, don't allow them to make mistakes. So I'm extremely happy with outcome. Finally, even this podcast production is taking us 80% less time than before. Unbelievable that all the production, all everything goes to social media, everything. And now it's taking 80%. So now we have 80% of the time for the team to do something else. So it's spectacular what AI has done and what can be done with AI. But again, you need to know what you're doing. You need to have your background. You need to have the right people, and you need to know about the business. If you don't have knowledge base, it doesn't matter which AI you're going to put. It's not going to work. You need to know how to train this. You have to have your knowledge, right? This is the most important. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. And for all of you following the podcast, see you in our next episode of Let's Talk About Hope. Brave entrepreneur like Sheldon, break that wall and achieve the first meeting. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.